Okay, imagine waking up exactly 200 years from today. The world you once knew, it's completely gone. Disease has been totally eradicated, aging has actually been cured, and you are standing in some bright, futuristic medical facility completely healthy. You see, you took a massive gamble. At the exact moment of your legal death back in the 21st century, you made the choice to have your body cool down to near absolute zero. You were basically waiting for a future that could bring you back. Now, for decades, science fiction has treated this idea, cryonics, as a simple pause button for human life. Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the actual, real-world science of cryonics, the complete cellular nightmare standing in our way, and the wild tech that might actually finally break the freeze. So let's get right into it. Could you actually wake up 200 years from today? Well, I kind of have to pull the rug out from under you right away. As you watch this, there are over 500 people currently preserved inside these massive steel tanks, just submerged in liquid nitrogen. And thousands more have signed up, paying upwards of $200,000 for a second chance at life. But here is the brutal truth. For the price of a small house, you don't get a revived healthy survivor. You get a collection of severely damaged, non-functioning cells. Right now, they are, quite frankly, biologically dead, shattered cellular wrecks. So why is reviving them currently impossible?
To understand that, let's look at what actually happens during the procedure today. It is an incredibly time-sensitive protocol. The clock starts the exact millisecond a patient is declared legally dead. A standby medical team instantly starts CPR and packs the body in ice. But get this, they aren't trying to revive the patient. No, they're just keeping oxygen flowing to the brain while rapidly cooling the body down. Next, the patient is rushed to a facility where their blood is completely drained and replaced with medical-grade antifreeze. We call these cryoprotective agents, or CPAs for short. The whole point of this process is to achieve something called vitrification, right before the body is finally submerged upside down in liquid nitrogen at a freezing negative 196 degrees Celsius.
And this right here is exactly why those medical-grade chemicals are absolutely crucial. Our bodies are made of roughly 60% water, right? We'll take a look at normal freezing on the left. It causes water to expand into these jagged, sharp ice crystals. Inside a human body, these act like microscopic knives, literally shredding delicate cell structures from the inside out. Now look at the right. That is the holy grail of cryonics, vitrification. By pumping the body full of those CPAs, scientists are aiming to turn the body's fluids into a smooth, disorganized, glass-like solid state. No ice crystals whatsoever. The molecules just slow down until all biological activity completely stops. Honestly, it sounds like a perfect plan, right? But here comes the cellular nightmare I mentioned earlier. Vitrification takes a catastrophic physical and chemical toll on the human body. We are basically slamming into a biological wall made up of three massive roadblocks: toxic antifreeze, ischemic injury, and thermal stress cracking. Let's break these down.
First up, we have the toxic antifreeze paradox. To actually get a human body to vitrify into that smooth glass state without forming deadly ice, you have to use incredibly high concentrations of those cryoprotectants. But here's the brutal irony of it all. At normal body temperatures, these chemicals are highly toxic to living tissue. They warp the internal organs of the cell, they poison proteins, and they completely destroy cell membranes. So, to successfully save the physical shape of the cells, you literally must use chemical concentrations that lethally poison the tissue's functional machinery. You're chemically destroying the exact thing you're trying so hard to preserve.
Okay, moving on to the second massive roadblock, ischemic injury, which is basically just a medical term for oxygen starvation. Because of current laws, patients must be legally dead before preservation can even begin. But legal death is a process, not a single moment. From the second the heart stops beating, the brain is starved of oxygen. And within just 4 to 6 minutes, neurons begin to suffer irreversible damage. The cells run out of energy and literally begin to self-destruct. This means that even with the absolute fastest medical response possible, scientists are trying to preserve a biological system that has already begun to fall apart and decay. And then we hit the third roadblock. And honestly, this one is a literal physical nightmare. Thermal stress cracking. Let's just say for a second that we somehow bypass the toxic chemicals and the oxygen starvation. Human bodies are a complex mix of bone, muscle, fat, and organs, and all of these materials shrink at completely different rates when exposed to extreme cold. So as the body reaches that crazy negative 196 degrees Celsius mark, this mismatch creates immense physical stress. Because the vitrified body is now essentially brittle glass, it can't bend. Instead, the microscopic pathways of the brain literally snap. They crack like an earthquake splitting the ground. It is a devastating physical fracture straight across the tissues. Which brings us to the ultimate hurdle, and honestly, the reason why this whole thing matters to you. What are we actually trying to save here? It's not just a set of muscles or a beating heart, it's your connectome. The connectome is this incredibly complex map of your 86 billion neurons and the trillions of synaptic connections between them. It is literally the physical blueprint of your memories, your personality, your very identity. If the thermal cracking and the toxic chemicals destroy this delicate structural map, you experience what scientists call information theoretic death. Think of it like burning a book to ash. You could have the most advanced technology in the universe, but you cannot reconstruct the words from ash because the information itself is just gone. If the connectome is destroyed, you simply cease to exist. But hey, don't lose hope just yet. We are actually seeing some fascinating, incredibly recent shifts in the science. In early 2026, researchers published a major breakthrough study where they successfully vitrified, froze, and then thawed out brain tissue from mice. And the truly mind-blowing part? They restored its electrical function. The revived neurons could still share signals and maintain those complex pathways. As the lead researcher, Dr. Alexander German, noted, this proves that the connectome can survive. It moves cryonics entirely out of the realm of pure sci-fi and into the realm of a serious engineering problem. So what kind of future tech might actually solve our three big roadblocks? Well, let's dive into 4 technological pillars that could completely change the game. The first one is nanowarming. You see, traditional warming shatters frozen organs, kind of like pouring boiling water into a freezing cold glass. Nanowarming solves this by using microscopic iron oxide nanoparticles. These tiny particles get distributed all throughout the organ's blood vessels. Then, when placed inside an alternating magnetic field, these nanoparticles act like millions of tiny heaters. They warm the organ perfectly, uniformly, from the inside out at just incredible speeds. In fact, in 2023, this exact technique successfully revived rodent kidneys that were then transplanted back and functioned perfectly.
The second technological shift is looking straight at nature. To solve that toxic antifreeze paradox we talked about, scientists are actually turning to the freezing wilderness. There are creatures out there like the Siberian salamander that routinely survive being frozen completely solid, and they don't use toxic chemicals to do it. Their bodies actually produce natural ice-binding proteins that physically wrap around microscopic ice seeds and block them from growing. By using synthetic biology to design custom, non-toxic proteins that mimic these natural wonders, we could eventually vitrify human cells safely without chemically poisoning the patient in the process.
Pillar number 3 is molecular nanorobotics. Okay, but what about the unavoidable damage from the freezing process itself? Enter the ultimate microscopic repair crew. Operating at the molecular level, I want you to imagine billions of programmed nanorobots, literally smaller than a single red blood cell, introduced into a patient's body during the rewarming process. Using DNA nanotechnology, these tiny machines could scan every single cell, stitch torn cell membranes back together, and repair damaged DNA sequences atom by atom. They'd basically fix the physical damage before the body is even fully woken up. But wait, what if reviving the biological, physical brain is simply a bridge too far? Well, the fourth pillar is this truly fascinating digital alternative, whole brain emulation. In this scenario, future technology doesn't actually wake up your biological body. Instead, it uses ultra-high-resolution scanners to read and map every single neuron and synaptic connection in your preserved, vitrified brain. That massive data set is then fed into a powerful quantum supercomputer, literally emulating your physical brain pathways. Essentially, it boots up your consciousness in a virtual environment. Your memories and identity would run as software, meaning cryopreservation was really just a way to store your hard drive until the data could be safely downloaded. Okay, let's step back from the pure science for a minute and look at the real-world logistics of all this. Because even if we completely solve the biology, the reality of the time gap is just staggering. Waking up centuries later isn't just a medical miracle. It's going to be a massive psychological shock. For the first 100 years, you are entirely reliant on the stability of a financial trust fund, which, let's be real, is vulnerable to global economic collapse. By year 200, every single person who shared your memories, your inside jokes, and your culture is long gone. And by year 300, you're waking up as a historical relic in a completely alien civilization. I mean, good luck putting proficient in Microsoft Excel on a 24th century resume, right? And that brings us to these unprecedented legal and practical puzzles that humanity has literally never had to solve before. Think about it.
Right now, a cryopreserved patient is legally dead. Their wills have been executed, their money is distributed, and they have zero civil rights. So, if they wake up, who is legally responsible for them? Do they instantly get their citizenship back? Do they have any claim to their past property? Who exactly pays for their integration into a totally new society, especially if they wake up with severe cognitive issues? These are deep structural dilemmas that go way, way beyond just the freezing technology itself. So you might be wondering, why does all this massive, complex research even matter to us today? Well, it's because of the organ bank stepping stone. The immediate short-term goal of this research isn't actually to freeze entire human beings, it's to solve the critical shortage of transplant organs. Right now, thousands of people die every single year waiting for a matching kidney or a heart, which currently can only survive outside the human body for a few hours. But mastering vitrification and nanowarming, that will allow us to build massive organ banks, storing matching donor organs indefinitely. This technology is being developed right now, and it has the real potential to save millions of lives in our own lifetime, long before we ever attempt to successfully freeze a whole human.
The road to true human cryopreservation is incredibly long, and for sure, it's filled with massive physical and biological obstacles. But step by step, we are actually building the tools to bridge that gap. And in doing so, we're learning more about life, memory, and the physical nature of our own minds than ever before. So I want to leave you with a final thought today. When you weigh the incredible scientific potential against the harsh psychological realities we talked about, if the technology became completely safe and reliable tomorrow, would you choose to be cryopreserved?
Please like and subscribe.